what is the significance of her collecting water samples? Does the water samples have anything to do with the satellite image and mystery?
There's a tropical storm forming in the Atlantic. I need to take water samples on the Gulf Coast.
And why is this more urgent than responding to the state lawsuit?
This may turn into a big hurricane that makes landfall here. We need to document baseline conditions before it hits.
She's a coastal ecologist. What she's doing has nothing to do with satellites.
You girls, take a wrong turn somewhere? You're trespassing on federal land.
We're federal employees with orders to do water samples.
My orders are for you to turn around.
A colleague, Marion, figured out a way to go into the building and see if she could figure out what was going on, because it was obviously surreptitious.
Red 1, California, 0. Oh shit. Later, Ray.
I got a transponder out, and that satellite's gonna be overhead right quick.
Marion asked Olivia, what they should tell the boss.
What did we tell Dan? That we were stopped by a security guard. That's it? But I know where to report the rest.
Olivia's an insurgency member, so she's going to pass this information on to the insurgency. She suspects there's some political interference with the science going on here, and it has something to do with California.
So after Chris sees this image, this late breaking image, he realizes this is the smoking gun. But it wasn't clear what the image was showing and why it was so diagnostic that something was wrong.
The question has been raised whether there's something wrong with the CalSea satellite's observations of sea level, and whether that's responsible for the botched hurricane forecast in New Orleans. And so Chris, who's the project engineer, and Terrell, who's the project scientist, are investigating.
We've checked orbits, water vapor, bias from waves, tides, nada.
And she can't find anything. So Terrell's relieved, wow, it's not our fault.
Wait, I just got an email from Phil with radar returns. That's not right. The ocean doesn't do that.
It's an image of radar returns from the northern Gulf, and she sees this curvature indicating that somehow the satellite is approaching something that's very bright in terms of radar, and then passing it. Well, the ocean is pretty uniform. It doesn't see a bright thing. There aren't bright, shiny objects, or shouldn't be.
We've got this abnormal radar return, like something signaling the satellite.
Translation?
Something's altering the data.
Or someone. Can that be done with a transponder?
The episodes, they talk about sea level and sea level rise. So how much rise are we actually talking about, and how much heat is involved?
So if you take 300 feet of water from the surface down to 300 feet, and you warm it up by 2 degrees Fahrenheit, you would get about 2 inches of sea level rise. And the satellite has good enough accuracy that can easily measure those changes. So the reason why that is important is that the strength of the hurricane and how much moisture the hurricane carries, and thus how much rain is going to fall from the hurricane, really depends on how much heat it has access to. So if you warm up a good chunk of ocean by several degrees Fahrenheit, you have a lot of heat that the hurricane can access.
As I'm watching the series, I note that there's a informational change from a satellite that is an anomaly, apparently. How come the model predicting or forecasting doesn't pick up that it is an anomaly as opposed to a general change in the weather pattern?
So usually weather predictions are very operational. So you bring in the data, you plug it into your models, and you get a forecast. If there's a problem with the data, even though there's many eyes on both the data that's coming in and the forecasts that are happening, you often don't know when there's a problem until much later.
Looks like the forecast missed the increase in strength over the Gulf.
Our map showed the ocean cooling off just before the hurricane hit.
That's strange. The cooling should happen after the hurricane.
It's not our algorithm. Sea level dropped. I checked the European sea surface temperatures. They don't show cooling.
Call CalC.
And there's several examples from climate science where that has occurred, where it's taken as long as months to years to figure out flaws in the data. But because there's so many eyes on it and so many people critically look at the data, those flaws are always found out.